got a call from the New York Times in 2008, in the election of 2008. A New York Times reporter said, you know, we've come across a whole set of letters that Hillary Clinton wrote from college. And one of the letters was about you. I said, me? And the Times reporter said, yes, apparently you went out on a date with her. And I said, I was about to say the truth, which is I didn't remember, but I thought that would be impolitic. So I said, can you tell me a little bit about the letter? And he said, yes, she mentioned she went to a movie with you, and I struggled, and it came to me. We went to a movie in Hanover, New Hampshire. She was at Wellesley. She was up. I was president of my class. She was president of her class. I arranged a kind of presidential summit. And we went to see Antonioni's Blow Up. And then the New York Times reporter in 2008 said, is there anything you can tell me about that date that might shed light on how she would perform as a president? And I paused, and then with my tongue firmly implanted in my cheek, I said, well, she wanted an inordinate amount of popcorn. And then there was a silence on the other end. I thought he had hung up, and I said, are you still there? He said, I'm just writing this down. Such is our quality of political reporting. I've known her for a very long time. I've known Hillary Clinton for almost 50 years, and I've known Bill Clinton for almost as long. And although they don't credit me with the meeting of the two of them, I should get credit because I did introduce the two of them. In fact, the three of us were in a class together at Yale Law School, a civil and political liberties class taught by a wonderful older gentleman named Tommy Emerson. I remember him very well. There was a fourth person in that class you may also recognize, Clarence Thomas. And here's the thing. I remember distinctly whenever Tommy Emerson would ask a question, and this is the Socratic method. This is still used in law schools today. He would ask a question. Hillary's hand would be the first one in the air. Mine would be about the second or third. And whenever he called on her, she would have a perfect answer. I mean perfect. When he called on me, I got it right about half the time. Bill never attended class. And Clarence said nothing. Do you see how all of this stuff is linked together? I've always been impressed by Hillary, quite frankly, in terms of her dedication and enthusiasm, and also her sense and passion for social justice. It's real. It has been there right from the beginning. I think she will win. I hope to God she wins. But I think that there is, and it is very important to understand that these undercurrents are very large. And they're not necessarily bad. When a gap is created between our social ideals, in this case, the ideal of an economy that works for all of us and the ideal of a democracy that works for all of us and is responsive to all of us, and the reality that we actually experience, when that gap gets too wide, in the United States, unlike other countries, we do not fall into isms. We actually roll up our sleeves and get on with what has to be done. And we've done it before. What we are facing today is not all that different from what we faced 120 years ago, just before the Progressive Era, when you have the Gilded Age, the robber barons, who not only monopolized industry, but changed the rules of the game of capitalism for themselves, actually put stacks of money, of money on the desks of pliant legislators. We had inequality then in this country that was really actually larger, wider than the inequality we're experiencing today. We had deep cynicism, but we also had, and this is important to remember, we had people who understood the gap between ideal and reality, and they rolled up their sleeves and did what had to be done. They were reformers. They were muckrakers. They were not only populists and progressives, they were also very wealthy individuals who understood that they would do better with a smaller share of an economy that was growing faster because more people were put to work and more people had a stake in the economy than they were doing then with a very large share of an economy that really was only working for them. They understood that they would do better in a society that was less riven with anger and demagoguery than they would do in a society where people were more collaborative, than felt that they had a mutual stake in the outcomes of the economy and politics. And so that progressive era marked a turning point for America. And we did it again under different circumstances in the New Deal. And we did it again to some extent under different circumstances. And some of you remember this, judging from my eyeballing gray hair of some of you, or no hair of some of you. We did it again in the 1960s in terms of the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act and Medicare and Medicaid and then the Environmental Protection Act. People forget, one of the great thrills of my life is spending my days. One of the reasons I am as optimistic as I am is not only that we've done it before repeatedly, and we will do it again, but also that I spend my days with wonderful young people at the best public university in America, if not the world. And they are, this generation of young people is more idealistic and more service-oriented than any generation I remember. But here's the thing, they don't have the experience that some of us do through the anti-Vietnam War movement and through the civil rights movement of efficacy. You see, some of us in this room remember that when we joined together, we made change.